Once again, I would like to welcome all of you to North Star. Let's start with the first basics of part 2 of the CMA program. The first thing, what is the weightage of each topic in part 2? What are the name of the topics? What is the weightage in the final exam? And maybe I will just take you through how complicated those topics are. Is it theory? Is it practical? Or what is the weightage in your preparation? So the first one, it has 6 sections. Financial statement analysis being section A, it has a very high weightage, 20%. There is corporate finance, which is again 20%. Decision analysis is a very interesting topic. It's completely practical. So the topic 1, which is financial statement analysis, topic 2, corporate finance, and topic 3, decision analysis. These 3 topics are purely practical. There are very little theory in it. Alright, so all those of you who love practical, you will enjoy these first 3 sections. The next one, risk management, has a mix of theory and practical. Investment decision has a lot of things which are practical, and the last one, professional ethics, is a pure theory topic. So to begin with, let me tell you 2 topics. Risk management and professional ethics are a pure theory topic, but all the other topics has a lot of practical component in it. So section A, financial statement analysis, what does it cover? That is briefly written here. Section B, what does it cover? Like that. Section C, D, E, and lastly F. The entire portion is mentioned here. Now, the exam will consist of 100 multiple choice questions. I am sure all of you are aware how many number of questions come in the exam. There will be 100 plus 2 questions. Alright, I would just want to reiterate what is the exam pattern, how much time it takes, and what is the case study part, how do you go on to the case study part. I will just take another 3 minutes on this. So the total exam comprises of 102 questions, and it is broken into 2 windows. The first window is for 3 hours or less than 3 hours. The second window is for 1 hour. In the first window, you get only MCQ questions, 100 MCQ questions. Each MCQ question will carry certain weightage. Alright, each MCQ question will carry certain weightage. There will be a mix of theory, practical, and complicated question. Your journey with us, we will always target complicated questions. All the complex questions will be tested in your exams, in your test, whatever we will be taking. Generally, the quality of question that we put for your test are going to be at least 1 or 2 level higher than the real exam questions. Because our strategy is simple, we have to make our preparation at least 2 level higher than what we are going to be asked in the exam, so that in the exam we are just awesomely present, awesomely prepared. Alright, in case there is such word called awesomely, we have to be very prepared in the exam. That is the whole objective of keeping the quality of question or the type of question little more higher. Now in the exam, like I said, 2 windows. The first window is a 3 hours window, and if you have been able to complete within the 3 hours, fine. If you are not able to complete, system will automatically take your submission. But in case you have completed in less than 3 hours and you submit the paper, you will go on to the next window, provided you have crossed the minimum threshold. What is the minimum threshold? I want to keep it secret with you till some time. So till you have crossed that minimum threshold, you will be, if you have crossed, you are going to go to the essay type question. There will be 2 essay type question 1 and question 2. Each question will have multiple subparts. The minimum subpart generally is seen as 3 subparts. Why am I telling it at a very beginning? Because our preparation has to be focused around what is going to be asked in the main exam. Alright, it's very important that we put our focus right. Alright, so there will be 2 questions, essay type questions. In each essay type question, there will be 3 to 7 subparts of it. Similarly, question 2 will also have 3 to 7 subparts of it. Now, why is it important to know how many subparts? Because for writing one essay question, you get a minimum and the maximum of 1 hour. If you have finished the previous 3 hours, less than 3 hours, then that additional time you will get. But if you have not been able to finish the entire paper, you will get maximum only 1 hour to solve the essay questions. Now, when you get 1 hour to solve 2 essay questions, it means 1 essay question will require half an hour for you. And if that half an hour can be divided with 7 questions, then on an average, you are getting around 4 minutes only to solve 1 question, to write answer for 1 question. Which means that you cannot write very big story about any sub question. You just do not have time to write any story, any nonsense story. You just do not have time. So you have to write it within 4 minutes. Alright. Which means that you have to be very, very focused in what you need to study, how much you need to memorize, and how much you need to reproduce in the exam. When I am teaching, I will always make you mark the important areas. How much you should memorize, I will always tell you. In case I miss out, please ask me, I will tell you. More than that, whatever is written, it is only for your understanding, not for your memorizing. So do not sit down and waste your time in memorizing unwanted details. You have to only know the desired, wanted information in the question. More than that, you are not supposed to know. Alright? So that is about the examination. Do not waste your time in memorizing lengthy stuff. Maximum, if you ask me, sir, what is the maximum that I should actually memorize for my essay questions? The maximum that you should memorize for your essay question is just 2 lines of the book. Just 2 lines of the book. In our material, 2 to 3 lines. That's it. More than that, do not waste your time. Why? Because you will not be able to reproduce so much in the exam. You cannot write so much in the exam. Alright? So 2 lines is awesome. You have to memorize. Remaining that, in case you get time, write in your own words. It's awesome. Write in your own words. Alright. Last important point which I want to tell you is, in the exam, the window that you get to write the exam, that window will not have spell check. It will not have spell check. It will not have grammar check. It will not have spelling mistake checks. And as per IMA guidelines, grammar and spelling is very, very critical. Alright, so lot of weightage has been put to your English grammar and lot of weightage has been put to your spellings. Grammar, okay, here and there compromise is possible. I'm sure all of you know basic English. That's it, basic English you have to write. But spelling mistake is always a mistake actually. It is not that something I'm doing deliberately. So ensure that you are writing correct spelling, because there will be no underlining like how we experience in Word files. Alright, so ensure that you are typing correct spelling. Don't use our own spelling that we use on WhatsApp, whatever, bro, and I don't know, so many codes are there in WhatsApp. Do not use any of those terms in your exam. It is a strict no when you are writing your essay question. I will repeat again, do not use any shortcut what we do in our WhatsApp. Alright, so fine. There is no sequence as part 1 or part 2. You can start studying from part 1, you can start studying from part 2, you can start from any sequence whatsoever. There is nothing connected between this and this. Whatever is connected, I will tell you. For example, you start from part 2, there are a lot of things that you need to know in part 1. Yes. If you start from part 1, there are a lot of things that you need to know in part 2. Alright. So it is many places, both part 1 and part 2 is interconnected. You don't have to worry about those interconnection. Every topic, wherever there is an interconnection, I will tell you every interconnection. Everything I will tell you, presuming that you have forgotten everything that you have studied. So don't worry about that. That's my promise. I will take you through entire thing. Will the sections be covered in a chronologically? You don't have to worry about chronologically. It will be covered in a fashion that you will be able to interconnect every knowledge area. Alright, you will be able to interconnect everything. That is my promise to you. You don't have to worry about chronology. I will choose the chronology which is most advantageous to you. Alright, so leave that upon me. I will take care of that. Okay, there is more questions. In exam, if they give MCQ question, section wise MCQ, not at all. There will be no section wise MCQs. let's get started with today's class. You can always ask your questions. I will tell you the protocol. You can always type your question. I will look at the question and I will answer you at the right time. 99% of the time, if you have asked me technical question, it will be automatically answered in the flow of my teaching. Automatically you will get the answer for them. But in case you do not get the answer, do not panic. Your question is here with me. I will be able to answer. All right, I will be able to answer. Fine. Let's start. Section A, topic 1, basic financial statement analysis. First, what is financial statement analysis? Let's get started with this. See, the objective of financial statement is to provide information to the users of financial statement. That is the first objective, to provide information to the users of financial statement. Who are users of financial statement? Anybody who directly or indirectly has some connection or interest in the company in the form of creditors, bankers, loan providers, debenture holders, shareholders, or government agencies as regulators. Anybody who has some interest in the company becomes users of this financial statement. For example, I have nothing to do with Tesla. All right. So if Tesla issues a balance sheet, I am not interested. It means I am not a direct user. I am not an indirect user of Tesla's balance sheet. But if I have invested in suppose Wipro, then Wipro's financial statement I will be interested to know. All right. So I became a user of the financial statement. Now the question is, I am the user. Fine. Financial statement is a big document. If you have ever read a financial statement of MNCs and listed company, it will run on to 200, 300 pages sometimes. It is so huge. Now the question is, such a huge financial statement, how will I be able to read through? And in case I am able to read through, how will I understand? I need to understand critical information in the financial statement. I may be a science graduate or I may have no connection with commerce or finance. Question is, how do I understand those financial statements? So the answer to that is analysis. First, to do analysis, you need to have some kind of knowledge of finance. But basic knowledge also, if you have, you should be able to understand if somebody has done these analysis for you. You should be able to understand this. Question is, what is analysis? Answer to that is, you have got a one big page of document. All right. Now, so much time I do not have to sit down and read such a big document. So what we do is we convert that big document into just one liner, two liner, three liners, so that somebody who reads just 3 lines understands what is there in the financial statement or what is there in that one page. For example, let me tell you one example. I told you there is a company X. All right. Company X has earned a profit of $200,000. Now I am asking you, should you invest in that company or not? I'm just giving you this information. The company has earned $200,000 profit. That's all, nothing else. There is another information where I am telling the company has earned 60% profits. And how much is 60%? $200,000. So when I said 200,000 the company has earned, you are not able to understand whether the company has done a good job or a bad job, because you don't know anything else. But here, same information I am converting into a more simplified form, and I just told you company has earned a profit of 75% or 80% or just 60%. Now tell me, do you think you should invest in that company, or you are like, no, it's going to be a bad investment? What is your answer? Should you invest in that company? Yes or no? So if the company has earned an 60% profit, you are telling me you should not invest. All right. There is no, this is the first year of the company. There is no previous year, let me say. But that is a very important question where you said previous year. Yes, very good. So those of you who said, sir, previous year what it had done, awesome. Because it is important that we know the past track record. All right. So 60% is a good profit. But 200,000 if I tell, I don't know. I don't know whether the company has earned good or not. Similarly, one very important point you raised, that what is the past performance. So here in topic 1, we are going to learn performance of the company, analyze it based on past records, All right, all that we are going to learn. Awesome, very, very awesome topic to analyze. So analysis is basically making a longer information into shorter, concise piece of information which can help us take quicker decisions. Understand this again. What is analysis? Analysis is basically converting the entire financial statement which are in numbers to shortcut forms in the form of percentage, in the form of ratio, for better analysis and better decision making. Question is, why do we do that? See, you are the head of the company, you are the finance CFO of the company. You don't have so much time to go into 200 pages of document. You want quicker information. All right. So these analysis helps you take decision based on that quicker information. All right. These are called analysis. Let's go into it. Like I already mentioned, this portion covers 20% of the CMA. 20% is a huge marks. And let me tell you, very, very interesting topic, very realistic and very, very practical topic. You will use it in your real life scenario almost every day in and day out of your life. So with that, let's start. In order to evaluate companies, financial analysts examine financial statement in various different ways. They may create variants of financial statements such as common size financial statement. You need to underline common size financial statement and consider other issues that may affect companies' performance, right? But before that, basic financial statement matters to remember. Basic financial statement, you need to remember there are 4 documents important that you need to remember here. So first is income statement, second is statement of changes in equity, third is the balance sheet, and the fourth is statement of cash flow. These together we call it financial statement. In your school and college you have generally called it balance sheet. All right, but technically balance sheet means just one piece of paper which has liabilities and assets. Financial statement comprises of all these documents clubbed together. Income statement, statement of changes in equity, balance sheet, statement of cash flow. So remember, these 4 documents together is called financial statement. What are the formats of financial statement? Now we are going to go slowly into technical part of it. All right. So first one, formats of income statement. You need to remember this. There are only 2 formats of income statement. First is called single step income statement. Second is called multiple or multi-step income statement. By the very name, you know, single step will have just one step and multiple will have various steps. All right. You need to memorize this. I will tell you what to memorize here. First one, the following is the format of a single step income statement. So remember, this is for single step income statement. In single step income statement, just remember there are just going to be 2 parts of it. First part is going to be revenue and second part is going to be expenses. That's it. There is no third part to it. First part revenue, second part expenses, and directly you get net income. So if you see here, revenues are here. The entire revenue is clubbed as total revenue as A. All right. Then we have entire expense and the total expense is B, and we get net income as A minus B. All right. Very important point here you have to remember is income tax expense also forms part of expenses only. It is not shown separately. This is very important. Mark this important. So income tax expense is not shown separately. It forms part of expenses portion only. So we show total revenue, we show total expenses, total revenue minus total expenses, we get net income. All right, we get net income, and then we calculate earnings per share. How to calculate earnings per share? There is a topic there I will teach in detail how to calculate earnings per share. Quickly repeat with me. When I say repeat with me, don't switch on your mic and tell me. Just keep shouting out loud at your end. All right, your mom should be able to hear. Dad, of course. Yeah, so the first part is total revenue. What does total revenue include? Everything that the company has earned from whichever source. From whichever source. All right. For example, sales or service or interest or dividend or any kind of earnings that the company has received or earned during the period, the company should be showing it in revenue. Remember, we follow accrual system of accounting. We do not follow cash system of accounting. All right. So remember, all these are being done assuming accrual system of accounting, corporates under IFRS and corporates under US GAAP, under both these gaps, cash system of accounting is not allowed. All right. So under revenue, every kind of income that the company has earned. Under expenses, every kind of expenses that the company is liable to pay or has already paid. All right. Remember, important thing, income tax expense will form part of expenses only, and then we show net income, and then we show earnings per common share. Remember, we don't call it net profit. Remember, wherever there is a difference between what we do in India and what we do in the US GAAP, I will keep identifying that and highlighting it for you. All right. So what do we call? We call it net income. We don't call it net profit. All right. Now, there is nothing to remember or memorize in what we learned just now. I'm sure all of you remember revenue, expenses, revenue minus expense, net income. Done. Sale of assets will never form part of revenue or expense. Sale of asset is neither revenue nor expense. Gain on sale of asset is a revenue. Gain will only come. Sale price does not come. Sale of asset is recorded only in the balance sheet. Alright, so gain on sale of asset is recorded in the income statement. Remember this point, very important. Now, comes to the next one. The following is the format for multi-step income statement. You have to memorize this. Keep repeating with me so that you remember every point in this. Every point you have to remember. Otherwise, many questions you will just get confused. Alright, remember this. The first thing, keep repeating with me. Keep repeating with me loudly. First thing, net sales or service revenue. What is net sales? Sales minus sales return. Alright, sales minus sales return minus any trade discount. Any trade discount, those things after subtracting is called net sales. Generally, we also write just as sales. But by default, sales means sales minus sales returns. Alright, or service revenue, less cost of goods sold. Cost of goods sold is applicable not for service but for other than services. All right. So net sales minus cost of goods sold, what do we get? We get gross profit. All right. All of you know this. In India also we call it gross profit only. So no difference. Then we subtract less selling general and administrative expenses. All right. If there are breakups of this selling general and administrative expenses, that breakup will be written somewhere else. What we call it as schedules. All right. So that breakup will be written somewhere else where we call it schedules. All right. So all those selling general and administration expenses, there are 20-30 types of expenses. Fine. It will be written in a separate document called schedule. All right. From there we will bring back selling general and administrative expenses. All right. And then we will get operating income. All right. Those of you who are asking what is the component of cost of goods sold, like I said, 90% of your question will be answered, because whatever is there in your mind and heart, it is there. All right. I have taken note of it, and when we go down, you will see the breakup of the cost of goods sold. All right. Now, so first one, again I will repeat, net sales minus cost of goods sold. What do you get? You get gross profit minus selling general and administrative expenses. Let's call it SGA. All right. Selling general and administrative expenses, you get operating income. All right, you get operating income. Sometimes operating income is also called operating profit. All right, so somewhere you will also see it as operating profit. Now, what is operating profit? First, understand this meaning. Operating means those activities which are core to my business, which are core to my business in the sense I perform this in a regular course of my business as a routine work. For example, I am a furniture dealer. Buying wood, selling furniture is core business. All right. Buying machinery may not be my core business. Selling old machinery may not be my core business. But buying wood, selling furniture, paying wages, paying salary, paying rent, all right, paying electricity bill, paying, all these things are regular part of my day-to-day business operation. All purchases, all sales, these are my core business. Selling land is not my core business. All right. So here operating means those activity which form critical part of my business, which are regular activity of my business that I would perform every day. That is called operating income. From operating income, we add, remember, we add interest and dividend income. These 2 points are very, very important. All right. Yes, selling, general and administrative expenses, this can also be called as operating expenses. So these 3 things can also be called as OPEX. All right. Remember, little more technical fancy words, we call it OPEX. OPEX means operating expenses. All right. There is something called CAPEX. CAPEX means capital expenditure. All those fancy jargons I will tell you, so that when you talk, you should talk smartly. All right. Now, so then you add interest and dividend income. Remember, interest and dividend income you are adding. But when you subtract, you only subtract interest expense. You do not subtract dividend expense. All right. You may ask me, why do we not subtract dividend expenses? Because dividend expenses are adjusted in the balance sheet and not in the income statement. All right. Dividend expense will never come in the income statement. Remember this very important point. So I am writing here, not dividend expense. Why? Because dividend expense, this goes where? This goes to balance sheet and does not come to the income statement. Very, very important point. You should not go wrong here. And then you add or subtract non-operating gains and losses. Like one who was telling, Balaji was telling, sale of machinery or sale of plant equipment. So sale will not come, gain on sale or loss on sale will come here. Where will it come here? It will form here. So any gain or loss on sale of plant equipment, machinery, furniture, all those items will be coming here, because that is not part of my day-to-day business operation. Those are not my core business. Buying machinery, selling machinery is ancillary to my main business, but that is not my core business. What is my core business? Selling furniture. All right. So what you get now, it gets important. It is called, whatever you get, that is called income from continuing operations before income tax. I will spend 2 minutes on this. Income from continuing operation. It is a very simple English word. Income from continuing operation means those part of my business operations which I am going to continue in my future, which I have continued today and I am going to continue it tomorrow as well. I am not going to discontinue. I am not going to close down. I neither have the intent nor the necessity to close down those business. For example, I deal in 4 different products. All right, chairs, tables, sofas and beds. All right, these are my 4 different business operations. I have no plans of closing any of these 4 business operations during the year. I have not closed it. So all those income that I have earned from all these 4 operations, those together is called income from continuing operations. Very important. It is always first written before income tax. Always. And then we will be subtracting all the provision for income taxes. All provisions for income taxes will come here. All right. Once these provision for income taxes are done, remember, this is a provision for tax. These are not actual amount of tax paid. Later we will discuss the difference between the two. This is just the provision for taxes. You may ask me, sir, what is the difference basically? Just go back little. You have something called provision for bad debts and you have something called actual bad debts. Are they same? No, they are not same. Provisions are different. Actual bad debts are different. So here only provision will come. Actual tax paid is not going to come here. All right. Why and all? Later I will touch upon those points. Whatever you get income from continuing operations. Net of taxes. You want to write here net of taxes, you can write here. All right. From there we add and subtract what? 2 important points. All right. 2 important points what we add. But before that, I am just scrolling up because I want you to go through it loudly at your end and revise it so that you remember every point. I will give you 2 minutes. Go through it once again. Very, very important to understand this entire topic. Please go ahead. 2 minutes you have. Fine. Comes to the next. I will repeat again. Quickly keep repeating with me. First, sales less cost of goods sold. You get gross profit. Then we subtract selling, general and administrative expenses. We get operating income. It is also called operating profit. Then we add interest and dividend income. But while subtracting, we only subtract interest expense. Then we add or subtract based on whether it is a gain or loss. Only the gain or loss portion comes. You would want to know what is gain or loss actually mean. Gain means, let me just explain. Suppose we have sold a machinery. Alright, what is the machinery? Machinery net book value today, it is 100,000. Alright, but I have sold it for a cash value of $90,000. So I have a loss or gain. I have a loss. How much? $10,000 loss. This net amount is called gain or loss. Alright, this net amount is called gain or loss. What is this value? This is the sales value. Sorry, this is the sales value. What is this value? This is the net book value. And what is this value? This is the gain value. So gain is always a net number. Only net number comes to the income statement. Alright. Now, so here, in case that is there, loss will come. This is the loss and 10,000 will become a loss. Alright, like this it will come. Some other machinery has been sold at a gain. Only the gain portion will come here. The remaining portion, this 90,000 and this 100,000, the remaining portion 90,000 and this 100,000 will go where? It will go to the balance sheet. Alright, it will get adjusted in the balance sheet. So we had reached their non-operating gains, income from continuing operation before income tax, and then we subtract provision for taxes. Remember, provision for tax is not the same as what? As taxes paid. It is not the same thing. Alright, next one. Then we have any kind of income from continuing operation, and then the last two important points. I will spend one minute on each of these 2 points. Sometimes during a particular year, I may close one business operation. For example, during the current year, I had 5 business operations. Out of 5 business operations, 1 business operation I have closed, or I am in the process of closing. Alright, I have already closed or I am in the process of closing. In that case, any loss or gain which had happened during the operational period of that business, that will come here. Meaning, understand. Suppose we had a beanbag business. Alright, beanbag business I have closed. When? In US, the year is January to December. So whenever I say year, assume in mind I am talking about January to December. I am not talking about April to March. So January to business is my financial year. I continued my beanbag business till the month of July. After July, I completely closed down that particular division. Fully I have closed down. Now during July or till July, when I did this business, I must have earned some gain or I must have suffered some losses. From which one? From the purchase and sale of beanbags only. So that portion of gain or loss which I have earned or suffered from that operation of beanbag business will come here. But very important point, it will come net of taxes. It will not come gross of taxes, net of taxes. From where? From the operation of that beanbag business, operation. Now, I have closed my beanbag business. There will be some machinery, equipment, assets which were exclusively used for beanbag manufacturing. But since I have discontinued beanbag business, I want to dispose of those machinery, equipment, furniture, plant. I want to sell it off. So if I sell it off, I may suffer some losses or earn some gains. Alright, something like that I may have. In that case, those gain or loss which I have earned or suffered due to disposal of that asset, that will come again net of taxes. And after adjusting these two final items, we get something called net income. Alright, I will repeat again. First one is from operation of that beanbag business till the time we were doing it, and second is from the disposal of those machinery, equipment, whatever plant that we were using to manufacture beanbag, because we don't have any other use of those assets during the period. So what are we going to do? We are going to sell it off. We may suffer some losses from that. All right. So those things will be coming here. Again, it will come net of taxes, and finally you get something called net income. All right. But do you think that every year I will sell one business operation? Every year I will sell something? No, I may not sell every year. In that case, you don't have to separately. Suppose this is the year I sold my beanbag business, then I have to show this separately. But next year I did not sell my bed business. I did not sell any operation at all. In that case, this income from continuing operation I will show. After that, this and this I will not show, and this alone would be called net income. Remember this. This alone would be called net income. I will not show in case I have a nil amount here. In case I have nil amount, then I will not show these two lines separately, and this line directly will be called net income. So in a balance sheet where you don't see the word income from continuing operation and directly you see a word net income, it means they did not sell any operation during the year, any business, smaller units of the business during the year. Remember, I am talking about one unit of the business, not the entire business. All right, not the entire business, one unit of the business. Like furniture shop, one big bean bag unit has been sold, not the entire business. All right, I hope you have understood that. Disposal means selling it off. All right, disposal means selling a particular business unit. It does not mean scrap value. What is dividend income? Dividend income is when I invest in some other company, in some other company's share, I get some dividend. Those dividends for me is an income on investment in share capital. All right, we record it as dividend income. Any other question before I proceed to the next page? Okay, just a small feedback I want to know, because some of you may find me going faster, some of you may find me going slower. You can always let me know so that I can adjust it. All right, there will always be situation where some of you may feel I'm going little faster. There will always be situation that the others may feel I'm going little slower. So if you feel something like that, please put in a word. I will ensure that whatever you have missed, I repeat. All right. Don't worry, wherever you miss your points, do not panic at all. The next day, you can always watch the video once again, because internet will always be an issue. Sometime here, there, somewhere it will be an issue. Do not panic about it. Whatever you are able to hear, it's great. But in case there is something, do not panic. Next day, you will be able to see once again. Now, let me go to next. Let me go to the next part. The first one, earnings before interest and taxes. So, you remember operating income we had? Yes, operating income. Quickly, sales minus gross profit, sales minus cost of goods sold, you got gross profit. Gross profit minus selling, general and administrative expenses, you got operating income. From operating income, you add interest and dividend income and subtract non-operating gains and losses and adjust the below two items, and you get something called EBIT. Remember, interest is not coming here. Interest is not coming here and taxes are not coming here. That's all you have to remember. What are the two items which is not coming? Interest and taxes are not coming. And that is why it is called earnings before interest and taxes. Remember, two items will not come, interest and taxes will not come, and we call it earnings before interest and taxes. One very important point, these two items, when it is coming here, both will come gross of taxes. If you remember above, these two items were coming net of taxes. All right, so there it is coming gross of taxes. Fine. I am talking about interest expense, not income. All right, this is interest income. That's why it is added. Interest expense. Can you see here? Interest expense has been written separately. This item is not going to come. This item, provision for tax, it is not going to come. These two items, interest expense and provision for taxes, it is not going to come. Interest expense, dividend income, sorry, interest income and dividend income will come, but interest expense will not come. Together, what we call it as EBIT. Now, coming to the last point here, format for computation of cost of goods available for sale and cost of goods sold. Generally in India, we are always familiar with this term. This is the term that you need to be familiar with, available for sale. What is available for sale? For example, I had opening stock of 10,000 units. I manufactured another 30,000 units. I had 10,000, I have manufactured another 30,000 units. Together, I have 40,000 units. Alright, this 40,000 units I have ready, available with me for the purpose of selling. So, formula is very simple. Opening stock plus net purchases or production. If you are a producing company, then it will be net production. So, opening stock plus production or purchases, whatever you get, that is called cost of goods available for sale, or we call it in simple word COGAFS. So, when you see somewhere COGAFS, you will find it is nothing but cost of goods available for sale. We subtract closing stock and we get cost of goods sold. Alright, cost of goods sold. Let me take some question before I go to the next page. Sir, what is the difference between gross and net of taxes? Gross means before tax and net means after tax. Alright, if we have already subtracted tax, then that is called a net of taxes. Gross means if we have not yet subtracted the tax component on that item. Alright, that's a difference. Any question before I start with this page? Please feel free to ask as many number of questions as you want till you feel confident and satisfied. Otherwise, your question will remain in your heart and it will not get addressed. Please make use of the chat box. Ask as many questions as possible. Do not think that somebody will judge you. Nobody will judge you. If they judge you, ignore them. That's all. You ask. I have no problem. You have to understand every page, every topic, every word you have to understand. If it is not important, I will not teach you. Anything which is not important, I will not teach you. It is important. I have to ensure that you have understood it. Alright, good. Great. I hope you know how to type in your mobile. You need to just right click, right swipe. I am sure all of you know left swipe and right swipe. I am sure. Alright. So you need to do just some left swipe and there will be typing window. You need to do right swipe. There will be you can speak. Yeah. And like I said, right and left swipe everybody knows. Alright, fine. Let's go to next. Common size financial statement. Very interesting and very, very easy. Very interesting and very, very easy. Questions generally will not come how to prepare a common size financial statement. Based on this learning, interpretation or analysis of it, which will be tested in the exam. Alright. Generally, you will not be asked prepare a common size financial statement. Alright. Now, to make a comparison between, but before I start reading, let me tell you what is common size financial statement and what is the significance of it. See, there is a very big company. Alright, there is somebody called Wipro, there is somebody called TCS, a huge software technology company. And there is a smaller company, very small company, a startup who is also dealing in very similar industry, very similar kind of product and services, but size wise it is small, comparatively very, very small. Now the question is, a smaller company always want to replicate and follow a bigger organized company to see how they are progressing, to see how they are growing. But if I compare the numbers of a bigger company vis-a-vis number of this smaller company, these number comparison will not give any significant meaning. The question is, how do I compare them? For example, there will be $25 billion. Here it is not even $1 million. So how do I compare? Their salary is so high, my salary is so low. Their cost of services, cost of goods is so high, mine is so low. Everything is going to be so high. Here everything is going to be one small minuscule number. Question is, how do I compare my performance vis-a-vis the performance of the bigger company, whom I look at it as a benchmark? This topic helps me do that, wherein entire numbers of the balance sheet we convert into percentage. Now I will tell you, sales is very high, cost of goods sold is very high, my sales is small, cost of goods sold is small, gross profit is small. So to make it a meaningful comparison, what we will do, we will convert their cost of goods sold into percentage, gross profit into percentage, and this smaller company also cost of goods sold into percentage and gross profit into percentage. And now we will compare these two balance sheet. Now, can I compare now? Suppose Wipro has a gross profit of 60%. I have a gross profit of 70%. Can I say, even though number wise I am not so great, but percentage wise I have done a good job. At least I have done a better job than what Wipro did this year. Is comparison possible now? Answer is very much it is becoming possible. So instead of comparing numbers to numbers, we are converting entire financial statement into percentage and then compare this with this and see who is doing a better job. It helps me not only just do a comparison, it also helps me do cost control, see where unnecessary expenditures are being made, or to see where the company can be more efficient. So it serves a lot of purpose for the company. Let's begin a very interesting topic, scoring topic as well. To make the comparison between financial statement of two different companies possible, common size, also known as comparative. You also need to know the other number. Common size, also known as comparative financial statements, states each item of the financial statement not just as a numerical amount, but rather as a percentage of the relevant base amount. These statements can be used to compare, first important word, what is the objective? Compare the elements in a single year's financial statement, analyze trends, compare business of differing sizes, compare the company's performance and position within industry. So these are the four important objectives that this common size financial statement, also called comparative financial statement, serve for us. All right. Aren't they different comp and common size? Yes, there are differences. We will come to that differences shortly. Common size is a uniform word. Under common size, there are two common size. One is called vertical, one is called horizontal. All right, what is vertical, what is horizontal? That we will come to the next. So the common size financial statement can be broadly divided into two parts. One is vertical, one is horizontal. Before I go into vertical and horizontal, first I want to ask you, what is vertical? Like this or like this? Sir, how will I answer? Vertical, right? I for horizontal or vertical, I means this. All right, right? I for whatever you think is this, and write this. How will you write this? Okay, I don't know. So something. Okay, vertical, not vertical is not to south. Okay, standing and yeah, standing and sleeping. That is awesome. Come on, good. So standing is what? Standing is vertical. Okay, very good. I want to know this because unless you understand this, you will always be confused. What is vertical common size and what is horizontal common size? All right. In vertical common size, we prepare the entire financial statement in a standing order, taking one number in the entire financial statement, not financial, entire income statement and balance sheet as constant. All right, or as base. So in the vertical financial statement, the income statement one base we take, and in balance sheet one base we take. That's all. And entire vertically we prepare. In horizontal financial statement, the earliest year is taken as a base year and we go this way. Alright, in horizontal we go this way, in vertical we go this way. You have to remember this. Again I will repeat, vertical is standing position and horizontal is sleeping, snoring position. Comes to the first one, vertical common size financial statement, also called vertical analysis, makes it possible to compare the performance of companies of different sizes during the same period of time. Very, very important word here, during companies of different sizes during the same period of time. These two words are very, very important here. Again, I will repeat, vertical, what is the objective? Comparison. Comparison what? Comparing the performance of what? Companies of different sizes during the same period of time. These two words are very important. Vertical, companies of different sizes during the same period of time. These three words are very, very important. Keep repeating with me once again. Vertical, companies of different sizes like Wipro and a smaller company, when? During the same. Naturally, Wipro, some other year's financial statement and mine, this year's financial statement, I am trying to compare. Is it logical? No, not logical. For example, I want to feel happy. Alright, so what I did, I took my 2 years back financial statement and took Wipro's current year financial statement where market is down and trying to compare and became excited. Yeah, I did better. You did better under different year, under different market situation. Wipro did worst during a different market situation. Both are not comparable. So it should be companies of different sizes during the same period of time. Then only it will make sense. Next one. Horizontal common size financial statement, also called as trend analysis. There it was called vertical analysis. Right? Remember, here it is called trend analysis. Alright. And it enables comparison of data of a single company or single industry over a period of time. This is important words. Again, I will repeat, vertical, different companies of different sizes, companies of different sizes during the same period of time. And horizontal, single company or single industry over a period of time. These two words you have to remember. Alright, MCQ question will be from here. Your MCQ will be from here. Alright, I am stressing upon it. You may not find the significance of it. Tomorrow when you see the question, you will be like, oh, sir told something, I forgot. So all that will come. Alright, you do not have to forget whatever I am marking it here. Next one, vertical common size financial statement. Like I said, vertical common size financial statement. So we have shown two balance sheet, balance sheet, ABC Inc. and there is XYZ Inc. Alright. So what was the objective of vertical common size financial statement? Same period and different sizes of company. So this is my company ABC Inc. and there is another maybe very big company, another company from the same industry, my kind of business. I am a software company. XYZ is also a software company. So I want to compare this number with this number. It will be meaningless comparison. So what we will do, because the size of the company is very different. Of course, XYZ is a very big company, humongous company. Their size, their assets, their total assets, their total liabilities will be huge in numbers. So instead of comparing the numbers, we are going to compare the percentage. Alright. For example, XYZ have invested 70% in their current assets. Alright, we have 60% in our current assets. We should be feeling good that yes, we have just 60% because we have invested more in current assets compared to the other company. We have invested more in fixed assets. How? If 70% is in current asset, then on fixed asset 30% only they have invested. How much we have invested? 40%. Feel good about it. In terms of amount, their investment will be much significantly big. Alright, so like that. So if you look at it, I told you one number is taken as a base amount. To convert this into percentage, I want all of you to take up calculator. we use a specific type of calculator because every type of calculator is not allowed in the CMA exam. So I want all of you to use one particular type of calculator which has been permitted for carrying in the CMA class. Alright, so I will share that calculator with you. Now I will just share the screen. This is the calculator which I want every one of you to use. Sir, I have already got a calculator, no problem. But if you can buy it, buy this calculator because there are lots of calculator shortcut that I want you to learn. Alright, so please buy this calculator. I will share the link with you so that we are all having the same calculator. We can use the same functions in the calculator. It will help us remain together. Alright, so in the calculator, all of you take up calculator, whichever calculator you have. Some of the functions shortcuts may be different. So take up, we have to take total assets. In the balance sheet, we take total assets and total liabilities as base. Of course, total assets and total liabilities will be same. Alright. So, yes, but sometimes people get confused. What does total liability means? Does it include equity shares? Does it include shareholders funds? That is why I always tell take total assets so that you don't get confused. Total assets will be your base. Take up calculator and how to calculate. So type in calculator 100 divided by 1 million divided by 1 million into 100 divided by 1 million into. What is the first number? Type 600,000 equals. You will get 60. Without pressing any additional button, press 600,000 equals. You got 60? Very good. Now, without pressing any additional button, press 400,000 equals. 400,000 equals. You will get 40. Are you getting? Please write yes or no. If you are not getting, please write no. Alright. Alright. I will repeat again. Calculator shortcut. Type 100 in calculator. Why? Because every number has to be converted into percentage. I will teach you lots and lots of calculator shortcut. You must know them. Alright. So the first one, right? Type in calculator 100. 100 divided by, which is the base? Base will always be total assets or total of the liability side, including everything in the liability side. So 100 divided by 1 million. 1 million has 3 zeros. Alright. Means 3 zeros, 3 zeros, 6 zeros total. So divided by 1 million into, press into twice, into. Now press 600,000, just 600,000 you press, 600,000 equals, you will get 60. 60 means 60%. So you got the first number. Now press 400 without pressing any additional button. Do not press any additional button at all. Press 400,000. Just 400,000 equals. You will get 40. You will get 40. So we have converted in just one number 60% and 40%. Very good. Now, very good. Now let's go on to the next one. Liabilities. We are going to the liabilities, this portion. So like I said, we have to go to total liabilities. But sometimes people get confused. Total liability means this number, or total liability means this number, or total liability means this number. There is a confusion. That is why always advisable take total assets. Alright. When you take total liability means total of the liabilities plus shareholders fund, which we also call it as equity. Alright. So this number, take up this number. In calculator, we have to convert it into percentage. So type in calculator 100 divided by 1 million. Alright, 100 divided by 1 million into. Press 300,000. 100 divided by 1 million into 300,000. You are getting 30%. Alright. Got? Next, 200,000. You are getting 20%. Correct? Then, next one. 100,000. This is nothing but total of these two. Alright? This is nothing but total of these two. Don't think that 30, 20, 50 total is 100 here only. No, no, no. This is nothing but total of the first two. Next, 100,000 equals. So you get 10%. 150,000 equals. You get 15%. 250,000 equals. You get 25%. All of you are getting yes or no, guys? And last one, press 500,000 equals. You get 50%. Now, without pressing any additional button, press GT. Press GT. You should get 100. Press GT. GT is which button? In calculator, in my calculator, can you see this button here? Somewhere on top? Here. This is called GT button. This is called gross total. Alright. This is called gross total. So you should get GT. If you get GT 100, it means all your calculation is perfectly right. It means this. All your calculations are perfectly right. How many of you got GT? Quickly. 100. How many of you got 100? Just write 100 or write whatever number you got. I will tell you where you did mistake. Alright, you guys have become smart on the first day itself. You have to become smart every day. Every day, lot of value addition has to happen. Lots and lots and lots. Anyone who got 150? Anyone? At least one guy I want who got 150. Sir, first you tell me how much you got. Oh, none of you got 150. Oh, super. Very good. Very good. Then you have used awesomely calculator. Okay, Akshita got 150. Alright. Akshita, you got 150 because you had also pressed 500,000 equals. You had also pressed 500,000 equals. Alright. Rest nobody got. Awesome, guys. So, did we learn? Now, answer my question very quickly. We did like this or we did like this. And whatever we did, what is the name of this? What should be the name of this? Whatever we learned just now. We did standing, but what is the name for this? Quickly, I want everyone. Standing line. Okay. Yes, it is called vertical analysis. Alright. Vertical analysis or vertical common size financial statement or vertical analysis. I want all the 91 who is there in this batch to answer the question so that you are not sleeping. Alright. Very, very difficult to sleep in my class unless you have muted me. Yeah, unless you have muted me. Otherwise, very, very difficult. I am very loud and I want all of you to be excited. Super excited. Come on. Alright, fine. Good. So, let's go on to the next one. Let's go on to the next one. Now, we have converted the balance sheet into a vertical common size balance sheet. Now, we are going to convert income statement into a vertical common size income statement. Alright, we are going to convert income statement into vertical common size income statement. Alright, in this, we will take one item as base. If you remember in the balance sheet, we had taken total assets as the base. Now, we are going to take total sales or net sales as the base. Take up calculator once again. Now, what is the total sales? 500,000. So, first we have to convert into percentage. So, calculator shortcut is 100. Whenever it has to be converted into percentage, shortcut will become 100 divided by. Alright, 100 divided by 500,000 into. Twice you press into because many of you are using different calculator. When you press into, all the calculator will fall in place. They will start listening to us. Alright, into, first one, 200,000 equals. So you get 40%. If this number is negative, percentage will also become negative. Then next, 300,000 equals. You get 60%. 120,000 equals. You get 24%. 180,000 equals. You get 36%. I hope all of you have got it. All of you have got it. Now, in class, there are two types of questions that are there. Alright, there are two types of questions that we are going to handle, and these are called case study questions. The first type of case study question, the technical type of case study question, most of it I will handle in the class. Alright, and once we have handled the technical type of case study questions, then similar type of question will become your homework. Alright, will we provide answer for that? Yes, we will provide answers for that. But in case you have not been able to understand those answers, do not panic. We will teach you those answers in the class, or we will share some recordings for those answers. So do not panic. We will share the answers for all the questions. In case you are still not able to understand those answers, do not worry. We are there to take care of that. But ensure that you have completed all the homework before you come for the next class. This is very, very important. Like we eat every day, like we sleep every day, like we take bath every day. Not everybody, but yeah, overall. Like that, you have to do your homework every day. You have to do your work every day. After the class, it becomes too late, I understand. But tomorrow you have, if you are working, if you are having full-time college, evening, take out 2 hours and ensure that you have done your work. Trust me, your entire journey in CMA will be very, very interesting. It will be exciting, interesting, and you will enjoy every class. Only one thing I want from you, do it every day. 2 homework you have. First homework, whatever we have done, revise it once again. If you don't get time to revise it, do not worry, at least listen to that video once again. If you don't have time to sit down and solve and write and all that, no problem, listen to that video once again. If you have got time, that is awesome. Second thing is, homework, whatever is given, please revise it. Third, very, very important, the test that we will give you, do not miss those tests. Do not just miss those tests. Alright? And please do not come with a request to extend those tests. Those tests will be given to you for a couple of days, and I want everyone to solve it within those timeline. Alright? Do not miss it. Otherwise, you may lose it. All of you, I want you to solve this question. Quickly tell me which is the base. Very quickly, which is the base? How much is the base? So 500,000 will become the base. Total assets will become the base. Very good. Now take up calculator. Take up calculator. In calculator, 100 divided by 500,000 into. We are going to solve it here, right here. All of you together. 100 divided by 500 into 350,000. Sir, all the questions will be so simple. No, wait. So first one, 70%. All right, we are doing it. Next, it is already written in percentage. All right. Next, 150,000. This is 30%. Together, it will be 100%. Done. Done. Very cool. Very cool. Now, let's do for this one. What is the base? Same 500,000 will be the base. So, 100 divided by 500,000 into. First one, 200,000 equals, how much it comes? 40%. Next, 50,000 equals, this is 10%. Alright. Next, common stock, 25,000 equals, how much? This is just 5%. Super. Very good, guys. Keep doing ahead of me. 100,000 equals, this is how much? This is 20%. 125,000 equals 25%. For this, you don't do again. Alright, this together will be how much? 50%. Now press GT in calculator. You should get like how I got. You should get like how I got. How much? I got 100. Anyone who again did not get 100, please wake up and please own up. Anyone who did not get 100, come on. One guy I want. Very, very important. Buy a calculator which has GT function. Because we will be using GT in many questions and topics. Alright, please buy a calculator which has a GT button. Now, super, very good. Let's go to this. So I want very quickly, tell me which one will be 100%, which one will be the base. Very quickly, which is the base? Sales is the base. Awesome, very good, very good. Now, take up base. we have to convert into percentage. So 100 divided by 250,000 into. So base is always going to be how much percentage? 100%, always. If you look above, my base was 500,000 and this is 100%. If you go above, this base was 500,000 and this was 100%. If you also go above, this base was 500,000, this was already given as 100%. If you go little above, this base was this and this is also 100%. So base is always going to be 100%. Now coming back, cost of goods sold 120,000. So 120,000 equals, we get 48%. I am not solving, you are solving. You write the answer, I will see the answer, I will match the answer with my answer, and then I am going to write it here. Alright, so keep matching. Then next is administrative expenses 85,000, this is 34%, and other expenses is 10,000, which is 4%. Earnings before interest and taxes is 35,000 and this is 14%. If these are negative numbers, percentage wise also these will become negative number. In accounts language, all negative numbers are written in brackets. So bracket denotes negative numbers in accounting language. Alright? Alright, super cool guys. Any doubt? Any doubt? Anything you want to tell me? Alright, so we are going to go to horizontal financial statement, but we have 2 minutes with us. Alright, so I'm just going to show you how does it look like, and the next class, not today sir. Okay, fine, chalo. Horizontal common size financial statement, we will not take it up today. Alright, with that we have come to an end of today's class. Any question? 1 more minute to take up questions. Any question? Those of you who have not been added, do not worry, please do not panic. We will certainly get you on board with us. Alright, thank you so much for your patience. Today being the first class, we had to ensure that everybody is onboarded today and everybody is together in this endeavor. I can assure you that this journey is going to be amazingly happening. Alright, with that, this is Irfat signing off. Bye bye, good night, take care.